You built the life you said you wanted. So why doesn't it feel like you thought it would? You're not behind. You're not failing. You're not stuck. You're moving consistently, responsibly, and still something feels off. Not wrong enough to panic, not clear enough to fix, just empty in a way you can't explain. Most men don't know what to do with that moment though, because for most of your life, the formula was simple. Effort, progress, satisfaction. Work hard, move forward, feel good about it. And that worked. It worked in school. It worked in sports. It worked early in your career. Progress felt like proof that you were doing something right, proof that you were becoming something. But somewhere along the way, that equation stopped holding true. Now you're still putting in effort, you're still making progress, but the satisfaction part, it's fading distantly. And here's where most men make the mistake. They assume the problem is not enough progress. So they double down. They set bigger goals, add more structure, push harder, because that's what's always worked. If something feels off, increase output. But here's the problem. You can make progress in the wrong direction for a very long time. And the better you are at executing, the longer it takes to realize it. It's like climbing a ladder. At first, every step feels like progress. You're moving up, you're gaining traction, you're getting somewhere. So you keep climbing. And then you go faster and you feel stronger and then you get more efficient until one day you stop and look around and realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. And now you're higher than ever, but further away from what you've learned actually matters. There's something researchers have observed in high-performing individuals. When your identity becomes tied to achievement, your brain starts reinforcing completion because that's where the reward is. You get dopamine from finishing tasks, from hitting milestones, from moving things forward. But dopamine doesn't evaluate meaning. It doesn't ask, does this actually matter? It just rewards that something got done. So over time, you get conditioned to keep moving, checking boxes, finishing things, pushing forward without ever stopping to ask if what you're building is actually aligned with what matters to you. And over time, your system starts to notice because you can't consistently act out of alignment without feeling it somewhere. Your brain registers the disconnect, your body carries the tension, and it doesn't show up as failure. It shows up as something completely else, a subtle sense that nothing feels as satisfying as it should. This is why you can hit a goal and feel nothing. You finish something you've been working toward, something that used to matter to you, and instead of feeling satisfied, you're already thinking about what's next. Why you can finish a project and immediately look for the next thing. Why rest feels uncomfortable. Because slowing down forces you to feel what progress has been covering up. And if you're not careful, you start to build a life that looks successful from the outside, but feels disconnected on the inside. The word you're looking for is misalignment, not laziness, not lack of discipline, misalignment. You're doing the work. You're just not fully connected to it anymore. And let's go one step deeper, because the reality is most men don't drift into misalignment by accident. They drift into it through responsibility. You take on more, you become more capable, people depend on you, and over time your decisions start to shift. Less about what's right, more about what's needed, less about what's aligned, more about what's expected. And at first that feels noble. It feels like leadership, like sacrifice, but slowly you start to lose something, your clarity. Let's think about it for a second. It requires space. It requires honesty. And it requires a willingness to ask a question most men avoid. Did I choose this? Or did I just end up holding it? The question is uncomfortable because you've built your identity around being the one who handles things, the one who shows up, the one who figures it out. But just because you can carry something doesn't mean you were meant to. Over time, this becomes clear. When your external life grows faster than your internal alignment, You feel it, not as collapse, but as tension, low grade, constant, like something is slightly out of place, and little misalignments over time turn into massive ones. And most men try to solve that tension the same way they solve everything else. More effort, more structure, more control. But misalignment doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to awareness. This is where things start to shift. Not when you do more, but when you start paying attention differently. Instead of asking, what's next? You start asking, why does this matter? Instead of, how do I optimize this? You ask, does this actually align with who I'm becoming? Here's a real world example. It's like looking at your calendar. Every hour is accounted for. Everything has a purpose. Everything is moving forward. Meetings, workouts, family time, responsibilities. And on paper, it's a great week. But then when you step back and look at it and realize none of it actually feels connected to the life you're trying to build, it's full, but it's not aligned. And that question changes things, because now progress isn't just about movement. It's about direction. There's something deeply human about wanting your life to feel meaningful, not just productive, not just efficient, meaningful. And you don't get that from stacking achievements one on top of the other. You get that from aligning yourself to the things you've thoughtfully and intentionally designed for your life. From knowing that what you're building actually reflects what matters to you, not just what you're capable of. You can gain the world and still lose something essential. And most men don't realize they're trading something away because the trade doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like progress until one day it doesn't feel like anything at all. So if progress has stopped feeling satisfying, don't rush to fix it. Don't assume you need more discipline. Don't assume you need a completely new system. Pause. Ask the question underneath the question, not how do I get more, but am I building something I actually want to be inside of? Because that's the real shift from achievement to alignment, from movement to direction, from proving something to actually living something. And here's what you'll notice when alignment starts to return. Progress feels different. Less urgency, less friction, more clarity, better direction. You don't need constant wins to feel good. You don't need to chase the next thing to stay engaged, because what you're doing actually fits what you've designed it to be. And when that happens, you don't just move forward, you move forward with clarity. And that's the kind of progress that doesn't fade. If this hits something for you, that's usually where clarity starts. Not with breakthrough, but with recognition. And if you're in that space where some things are working, but some things feel off, that's exactly the work I do. You don't need to burn everything down. You just need to get clear on what's actually yours and what isn't. If you're ready to get clear on that, the link's below.